what was that songwriting process like of taking classical elements and translating them into like a thrash metal medium?
It comes back to the point where I listened to this classical symphony in the restroom in the school, because what I noticed there the first time was that distorted guitars, if you put them together in a certain way, sounds like brass, like heavy orchestral brass. You will be noticed that much, not nearly in perfection on the next album, which I'm working on. But it cost me years to figure out how to do that. You can notice this, that I tried it the first time on the cue in the mid part where the guitar plays this melody with chords. If you replace the guitar chords with brass, it sounds the same. It sounds really brutal.
Yeah.
And that was one of my first tries. And on the other hand, I notice it nowadays also. A lot of people, if they talk about classic, they all the time talk about Beethoven, Bach, all great composers, no way, Puccini and whatsoever. But nobody talks about Shostakovich, Bartok, Modest Mussorgsky, and all those guys who were way above the time. If you take, for example, the Hut of Baba Yaga, what you, for example, I think you meant, this one is composed 1834.
Hmm.
Imagine that Beethoven was still in late Romantic. He was 100 years later in Expressionism, at least. And
Yeah.
he never was well known. That also came later with Rachmaninoff, who started transcripting his works for a bigger audience. So he at least was somebody who drank too much and spent a lot of time in whorehouses and in bars and composed it there. Incredible. So if you
What a
see,
double life.
yeah, and therefore I discussed this with Jörg, whether we should have a try to do several classical songs which maybe fit to a rock, whether I should try to arrange it for a group. And the first, I said, yeah, let's have a try. It sounds interesting. And the first thing what I got in mind was this Hut of Baba Yaga, because it's simple and you
Yeah.
can
Simple.
transfer it. You can
Yeah.
transfer it much easier than later works I made for it. And what the idea behind, yeah, the idea behind was actually to make these composers more known to the public. And I know that I got so many mails, not mails or more in interviews, questions, or later, years later mails, that I brought fans of Mekong to this music. And that makes me really happy, because I think rock and modern classic is not as far away as people say they are.
I fully agree. One of my favorite composers is Holst. I love the
Yeah,
planets.
the whole planet, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I discovered him through a Diamond Head actually. Lightning to the Nations actually borrows some of his work, I think, but in a really good way, and I think it does homage. And I think people do get tunnel. A lot of these metalheads and like thrashers get kind of tunnel visioned with thrash metal, and they're moshing to your music and they love it, but like they don't know that it's pretty much classical. Like it is composed classically. Now, and this is something for a kind of a question for me too. Like classical music is such an intimidating thing to get into because
Yeah,
it's so vast and there's so much of it.
right.
In terms of like a metalhead trying to get into classical music, what would you recommend that they listen to?
I think first, if you should listen to several things. For example, Night on a Bare Mountain in the original version for orchestra, because this is very hard. And you should go step by step through. You should listen a lot to Mussorgsky, because all metalheads, which I talked to, even at that time, listen to it of Baba Yaga and say, is there more? I say, yeah, there's a whole album called Pictured in Exhibition. I really bought several CDs and give them as a gift to them. So I listen. and they were so surprised how good the sounds and how how hard they were inspired by the music. P.B. Wagner from Rage, for example, was deeply inspired by things like that. And if they can catch this kind of music, they should go a step farther to maybe Stravinsky, Sacre du Printemps, even also a very hard piece. And funny thing is, besides that, if they played the first time in Paris, I think it was 1933 or something like that, there was a big fight
Yes.
in the room. The progressive classic listeners against the classic listener. They fight each other like you
The
got to
new
know.
wave.
Yeah, with chairs. Well, the whole, the whole room was, yeah, after that was a mess. They really fight each other because the harmonies were so strange to them at this moment. And he was one of the first guys who used uh, multi-polyphonic, you know what I mean, for rhythm, polyrhythm. And they didn't
Interesting.
understand what's going on. So, why? The brass is playing in seven, he's playing in four, and he in five. What is that? Yeah. And if they catch it, they can go on. They can go on, for example, to Bela Bartok, who is also very interesting, especially is the piece he wrote short before Second World War. For me, it's all the time like you got a vision of what is coming because it's called Piece for Celesta, Drums and Orchestra, and it's the second sentence is so depressive and so. But if you listen to it, you got like, you know what I mean? And he also found with this song, he found something very new. I don't know the word in English for it. If you take air, Fächer, you know, Fächer, what I mean? If you,
Yeah, like kind of like a wind, like a breeze kind of
yeah, like
thing.
this is what you all the time see Chinese girls in movies with this. You know, it's like you
Yeah,
can
like
put
one
it
of
up.
those fans.
Yeah, but a hand fan and what he
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I try to make a transition like a hand fan fugue. That is I will send you the special word for that later on tomorrow because I will have to look how it is translated because this is really no good description and that was also very new. And you can go on for that. For example, if you listen to film music, why you got this all the time this hard and strong film music was that the people didn't listen too much to expressionism. A lot of people who compose expressionism went to Hollywood, even big composers, and make film music, movie music.
Yeah.
So therefore, movie music out of the 40s and 50s is so good all the time. And even nowadays, people didn't recognize that a lot of things are stolen out of classic. George Lucas, John Williams. John Williams is the biggest thief in
Is
music.
he?
Yeah, I know. I can tell you every part where he take it from.
What's
Every,
an example of something he's stolen?
all the composers I just mentioned before. He takes
Really?
just, yeah, he takes all quite of the, out of the band. But he makes this very well. He's a good composer. I wouldn't say he's not a good composer, but he knows what I told one time. I told him, I'm quite sure when we wait 30 years, we can start from the beginning. And that what he counts on, that the people didn't know what was composed years ago, 10 centuries ago. For example, good example for that that people didn't know the music of nowadays is, have you seen 2014 the new Godzilla movie?
Mhm. Yeah.
There, everybody asks me if they make this high jump out of the airplane into the destroyed city. You got a very music. I don't know whether you remember that. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that is a modern composer. This is Jörg Ligeti. He composed it in 1968. Atmospheres.
That's crazy, man. That's so wild. I feel like every genre, even classical, Everyone's always borrowing from someone. Even that example with Diamond Head, it's just so funny how like
Yeah.
even today's composers are still
Yeah.
recycling, I guess might be the right word.
That's a funny word. Better you steal in a good way as compose in a bad way.